Reflections from Torch Trust, focusing on Christian faith and sight loss.
Hello and a warm welcome to Reflections, the show from Torch Trust that talks about faith and disability in today's world. I'm your host, Marilyn Baker, and I'm delighted to be with you this Sunday morning. Lent starts in a few days, and this year I'm planning to spend more time praying and trying to understand all that Jesus' death and resurrection really means for me today. Another highlight for me is the Torch annual Lent groups, which we'll be hearing more about very soon. Today we're preparing for Lent, and in case you're a new Reflections listener, I'm excited to tell you that Torch holds a Lent course on Zoom every Tuesday, starting on the 4th of March at 2 to 3 p.m. It'll run on Zoom all through Lent, and it's a great way to connect with others in praying and reflecting on the significance of this season. Lynn Davies spoke to Becky Davies to get more details on what's in store this year.
We are coming up to Lent, and Becky, every year Torch is doing a Lent course. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is and what inspired Torch to start this?
I think we've been running a Lent course for the last few years, and basically we're going to be meeting every Tuesday from the 4th of March in the afternoon, about 2 till 3 o'clock, I think it is. And so just for an hour, and we basically meet together. We're using a Lent book called At Home in Lent, which is quite an interesting book actually by Gordon Giles. And he basically uses everyday objects to help us reflect on our own faith and the Easter story. So we're going to be using some different parts of his book each week. So we'll use one kind of reflection each week. So the idea is we listen to the reflection. Somebody will be the kind of leader who will give us some more their own thoughts on it. And then we'll have some time to discuss the book, the chapter we've listened to, and then some time to pray together as well. And I think we usually listen to a song as well that links in with that week's theme. So it's a lovely time together. We always have a really a great session, and some interesting people come and lead the sessions as well. And it's a really great book this year as well. I've really enjoyed kind of looking into it and choosing which chapters we're going to use.
So what does Lent mean for you? Do you have any traditions with Lent, or do you have things that you focus on during that time?
So I'm not somebody who gives things up for Lent. So I know lots of people do that, but it's not something I've ever really felt I've wanted to do, or is not something that's really been natural for me to do anyway. So something I do try and do is maybe try and use like a Lent book. So have kind of read like the book we're going to be using for the Lent course, but try and use a resource that just helps me think ahead to the Easter story, and time of kind of reflection, I guess. So that's what I tend to do in Lent, rather than give something up. But that's just me. So.
Yeah, I can second that, because I think sometimes Lent can be very much tied to traditionally giving up cheese, giving up chocolate, giving up meat, giving up all these things, and it's great. But I think Lent can be so many things to people, and it's more about how to personally connect with Lent, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's right. So that's what I find really helpful anyway. And it kind of disciplines me as well to actually work through something over a period of time, which I think sometimes we need to do. So it's good.
So the Lent groups before, have they been popular, and have they been well attended? Do you see like the same attendees every week?
So I think the idea of this is certainly that it's something you don't have to come to every week, because we know, sometimes something comes up, or there's something else going on one week, so you're not going to make that week. So people come and go as they can, so some people will come and join the whole thing, and they'll be there every week, and other people will just dip in and out when they're able to, and that's absolutely fine. So every session is kind of standalone. So it's certainly something you can come to when you're available. You don't feel that you have to sign up to the whole course. And usually we have, I'm trying to remember how many people, I think it was probably maybe about 20 people coming along. So it's usually a nice size group, not too large. If we do feel it's a bit big, then we'll use breakout rooms so that people can discuss things in a breakout room, rather than in a large group altogether, because sometimes that's a bit easier to talk in a smaller group. And so we'll work around whoever's there. We'll make it work.
So it sounds like it's a very healthy number, 20 attendees online. It's actually really good, isn't it? So that shows how popular the course is. What would you say to someone thinking that this could be something for them, but maybe they're feeling a bit nervous, maybe they haven't joined in an online group before?
Yeah, I'd say, well, just come along and give it a go. And you don't have to join in the discussion. So if you just want to literally sit back and listen, just hear what other people are saying, then that's absolutely fine. I think some ways online can be easier to come along to something like that and sort of just observe and listen rather than feel that you have to really fully engage with it. So yeah, just come and give it a go. And as I say, if you come along and decide maybe it's not for you, then that's absolutely fine. You don't need to come back again. But it might be that actually, I'll come along to maybe a couple this year or something and try it out. And again, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, and we'd hope people would come back if they went to one, wouldn't it? And it's like you said, it's that thing of not necessarily taking something away for Lent, but adding something like this group and like the reflections that you're going to be discussing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, next, and it's only an hour, so it's not too long. I know some people don't like being on Zoom for too long, but yeah, it's only an hour. You'll hear different voices, and it'll be, yeah, try and make it interactive as well. So hopefully, yeah, try and make it a good engaging session.
Here's an extract from At Home in Lent by Gordon Giles, the book for this year's Lent course. It's read for us by Robert Morris.
Ash Wednesday. Door. Behold, I stand and knock. Listen, I am standing at the door knocking. If you hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to you and eat with you, and you with me. To the one who conquers, I will give a place with me on my throne, just as I myself conquered and sat down with my Father on his throne. Let anyone who has an ear listen to what the Spirit is saying to the churches. Revelation chapter 3, verses 20 to 22. Have you ever paid any attention to your front door? The lock on mine broke recently, and then I suddenly became very interested in how it works, whether it would work, and whether I would actually end up locked in or locked out. The little button on the catch broke off, and I lost confidence in the security, safety, and convenience of a door that is opened and closed at least a dozen times a day. So I went to a locksmith and bought a new door lock, and then had some adventures getting the old one off and replacing it. All the while I was aware that if I were to make a mistake, then the security of my family and possessions could be jeopardized. However holy-minded or spiritually aloof one tries to be about one's stuff, in the end we do worry about these things, and in a modern society do need to be wary of risk and realistic about personal safety and valuables. A front door is not just for keeping people out, of course. It is also for letting them in. As a parish vicar, I frequently open my door to people and have more visitors than most. Occasionally, I have visitors who I don't want to or should not let in. I learnt the hard way to be at least a little wary. A stranger at the door invited himself in, and it turned out he was a violent criminal who wanted money. I had to give him some to make him leave, but I suppose he may have needed it. We all get unwelcome visitors from time to time, selling, buying, conning, or manipulating, and we have to engage in that ongoing inner dialogue. Are they genuine? What is the real cost of mistakenly giving them something as opposed to shutting the door on real need? It is better to be conned a bit than to contribute to someone's ongoing suffering. When we read the words of Christ as heard by John in this passage from Revelation, they conjure up images of Jesus on our doorstep, knocking on a door that we have locked from the inside and only we can open. He does not batter the door or break it down. We may wonder whether he comes as stranger or friend. The artist William Holman Hunt, 1827 to 1910, who lies buried in St. Paul's Cathedral, painted many religious works, but the most famous is undoubtedly The Light of the World, of which there are several versions of various sizes. The largest one, which went on a world tour because it was so popular, now stands in the Middlesex Chapel of St. Paul's, where it forms a backdrop to daily prayer. Sadly, it is poorly lit and not easy to attend to in detail. But the figure of Christ holding a lantern and knocking on a wooden door is clear enough. Momentary study reveals that the door has no handle. It can only be opened from within. The door is the door to our hearts, and knock as loudly as he might, only we can open the door and let Christ in. It may be a sentimental picture, beloved of the Victorians, and easy to feel warm inside about, but the metaphor can be pushed a little when we think of the front doors of our own homes. Generally, our doors are not merely closed, they are locked. Thus, to open them is a two-stage process. That also assumes that our door has oiled hinges, is unobstructed, and that the lock works. That is, as well as our wanting to open the door, it must be physically possible to do so. For, like my vicarage door with the broken lock, our spiritual doors must be maintained and cared for. Generally, we don't pay attention to things until they break, but maintenance is vital. This, in a deep sense, is what this season of Lent is all about. As we enter Lent, a period of penitence, self-reflection and self-denial, we may also like to think of it as a time for spiritual maintenance. It can be a 7-week period for making sure that we truly are at home to Jesus, that the door of our hearts is open, and that the rest of our spiritual home is in good working order. The word Lent derives from the Old English for spring, and we all know about spring cleaning, whether we do it or not. Lent is a good period for spiritual spring cleaning too. As the days unfold between now and Easter, when we shall welcome the risen Lord, my invitation to you is to look around your home and consider its furnishings and fittings, and in doing so to reflect upon the furnishings and fittings of our faith. They may need polishing, repairing, sprucing up, or even replacing. Furthermore, the objects of our daily lives are always with us, and we readily overlook, ignore, or take them for granted. Yet they may serve as a constant reminder of our pilgrimage of faith, and we can learn to see them in a new light, enabling us to reflect afresh on God's world and our place in it. As Lent begins, let us look around our homes in a new, spiritually creative and reflective way. And remember, today especially, that the place to start is the front door, which can be a metaphorical doorway into the period of Lent, as well as the door we open to let Christ in, so that he can rule our hearts and lead us forward in faith and hope and love.
And if you enjoyed that extract, you may buy or borrow At Home in Lent by Gordon Giles from Torch. It's available in Braille, giant print and audio. Just contact Client Services. I'm sorry to say we're out of time for this week, but we'll be back next week talking about a new exciting project from Torch called the Hopes Project. And don't forget, if you're blind or partially sighted and would like to learn more about any of the services provided by Torch, including signing up for the Lent course, our Torch Together holidays, our accessible books and resources, or our other groups, our Client Services team will be very happy to speak with you. The number to call for information and for song requests is 01858 438 260. That's 01858 438 260, or you can email info@torchtrust.org. You can also find us on social media. Just search for Torch Trust on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reflections. So until next week, from me, Marilyn and everyone on the Reflections team, goodbye and God bless.
You've been listening to Reflections from Torch Trust.